We welcome you to League of Women Voters Candidates Night. This is a forum that we do each year. This year we have mostly city candidates, and we are one of the few organizations in the area that host candidate nights. We support, of course, having an educated voter, and we increasingly hear from other places that they would like for us to come to their areas and do candidates nights. There are not enough of us to be in Pike County and Pickaway County and Ross County. I'm trying to think. Washington Courthouse is Fayette County. And we have members from all of those counties. And if you are interested in becoming a member of League, then I'll give you some information in just a moment. Let's start this evening, if you would, with the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Some information for candidates. I think everybody got a note saying that they would be tonight allowed to have a minute and a half to introduce themselves. In the past, at the end of that time, candidates have been asked questions. We're going to do this a little differently. When you are finished with your introduction, be seated, and questions will follow after all candidates have had a chance to give their opening remarks. When questions are asked, you will have 1 minute to answer questions. Audience, if you have a question for candidates, note cards will be brought to you. You just need to raise your hand. Note cards and a pen will be brought to you. And please fill out on the top what office, not what candidate, because questions are not for individuals. They are for office holders. But if you want to ask the mayor a question, just put mayor at the top and then your question. And then raise your hand again, and one of our ushers will come and pick up those questions. We're glad tonight to have screeners who will look at the questions to be sure that questions are not partisan in nature, but that they are dealing with issues, not personalities. Educated voters deal with issues. I think that we want to thank Vanessa George from CHS TV for filming tonight, and the students from CHS. Would you raise your hands up, please? Thank you very much. We do appreciate that they are here. And the information that they are gathering on film tonight will be on the CHS YouTube channel, youtube.com/CavsMedia. If you have Horizon View or Spectrum, there is a student channel, and if you look at your listing, you will find out what that channel is. The video from tonight will be looped on those channels until Election Day. Quick reminder, if you happen to not be registered to vote, there are registration forms in the front. And please register tonight. We can get those to the Board of Elections. Today is the last day to register to vote.
Before 9 o'clock.
Before 9 o'clock. Yes, we hope to not be here after 9 o'clock. Tomorrow is the beginning of early voting. And so if you happen to not be registered or need to change your location, your address, then fill out a form tonight and we'll be sure and get that in. Thank you again, and I would like to introduce Mr. Ty McBee, who is representing the Ross County Parks Levy. He's going to share some information with you.
Thank you, Bart. As she stated, my name's Ty McBee. I'm chairing the Ross County Parks Levy campaign. So just wanted to be able to provide some basic information on that levy. The Ross County Parks District was created in 1993. They've done a tremendous job of expanding their operations and what they've done for this community. It really provides a wonderful building block for this community as we continue to develop our revitalization. They really are a key player in that. So they've. You hear me okay now? They've over the years have expanded their assets. They have about 2,000 acres of ground. You'll recognize some of the names of Buzzard's Roost, Mataqua, Kinnickinnick Fen. Also, the Koppel Complex is a city and county joint program as well. So all the soccer players, youth soccer players that come to the Koppel Complex are benefiting from the Ross County Parks District. And most of you will know the commonly referred to as the bike trail. It's the Paint Creek Recreational Trail that is just outside of town that goes all the way to Washington Courthouse. So they've done a nice job since 1993 in really developing their assets, and this levy will help them to continue that growth. It is a $500,000 levy. The average homeowner will be about less than $25 per year that will cost the homeowner. And they just plan to continue to expand their assets, also their school programming, which is a big part of what they do. And I was telling Kevin earlier this evening, they've been a tremendous partner in trail development. As many of you know, I work personally on developing trails in the community, and we've got such a wonderful asset of over 250 miles of trails, non-motorized trails, and the Ross County Parks District has probably been one of the best partners that we've had in continuing to develop that. So I appreciate your time. If you want more information, My Ross County Parks and Trails is on Facebook and also on the web, and I'm happy to answer questions through that too. So thank you.
Thank you. We would like to hear then from the mayoral candidate, Luke Feeney. Please and thank you.
Hello. My name is Luke Feeney, and I'm the mayor of Chillicothe. Thank you to League of Women Voters for hosting tonight and for what you do for civic engagement. And thank you to everyone here tonight and watching at home for giving me the chance to serve this community. I'm running again because I'm proud of what we've accomplished together and because I still see so much potential for this city. It's been a busy and exciting 4 years, both at home and in the city. At home, my wife, Stacy, and I have been blessed with Colin, who will turn 4 in January, and Marin, who just turned 1. At the city, I've held 39 neighborhood office hours, hitting each ward multiple times. We've opened fire stations, we've paved roads, and we brought back recycling. We're also adding sidewalks to make the city more walkable, and we just opened our first dog park. I can't say enough about the businesses who are investing in this community every day. When I became auditor in 2013, we had $450,000 in the bank. At the beginning of this year, that number was $2.9 million. And last year, we were released from fiscal caution. Thank you for allowing me to serve. I'm respectfully asking for your vote so we can stay busy and continue this process together for another 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke.
And next up, we have candidate for the President of Council, Bruce Arnold. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank the League for the invitation this evening and everyone here tonight that is showing your interest in this community. My name is Bruce Arnold. I have owned and operated cars locally for 33 years. I am a lifelong resident, and I love this community. I'm running for my 4th term as council president. I have proven to be efficient, accurate, and dependable. I will continue to promote and improve citizens' participation and keep a comfortable atmosphere for citizens to address council. I have brought back televised meetings to council, giving most of our citizens the opportunity to stay connected with council. I will continue to work hand in hand with administration and committees. I want to express my thanks for the opportunity to serve my community. These last 4 years have been very positive and productive for the future of the community. Our downtown has sprung back to life. Bridge Street and Western Avenue have continued to progress, and more new developments and improvements are on the way. The paving levy has improved many of our streets in town, and we have more police, and fire personnel. I'm not taking credit for any of this by any means, but I'm proud to have contributed to this progress. And I promise to continue my efforts to keep Chillicothe moving forward. I highly respect the phrase, a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. And I will do my best to administer such a government to the citizens of Chillicothe. Thank you.
Thank you.
For President of Council, Joe Herlihy.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Joe Herlihy, and I'm a candidate for President of Council. I'm a believer, a father, a son, a successful local businessman, and an experienced city councilman. I'm committed to the well-being of Chillicothe. Politics be damned. I am running to be an effective city council president. I will employ 3 public service virtues. Number 1, efficiency. To keep council business flowing, the correct role of president is to facilitate the discussion between city council and the administration and the public. Not to offer my opinion, but rather encourage healthy debate and build public confidence. Second virtue, transparency. Council is elected to represent the citizens, so it's only natural that council should be transparent about council's work. Council needs to be brought into the 21st century and utilize technology where notifications, agendas, live stream, and archive videos and meeting minutes that are available to everyone at any time. Number 3, balance. Healthy, honest government is a system of checks and balances and different ideology. The current council is weighted to one side, with all my opponent in the leadership. This is an out-of-balance dynamic which creates an opportunity for too much rubber stamping. Diverse viewpoints are not getting their due, and the discussion is shallow and ineffective. I respectfully ask for your vote to provide the citizens of Chillicothe a more effective government led with efficiency, guided by transparency, and governed with balance.
Thank you, Joe. Anna Villarreal is not here, so we will move on. And we will move on to Seal Corcoran, please, and thank you. Thank you.
I'd just like to appreciate everyone for coming out this evening, and I'd also like to thank the League of Women Voters for always doing such a fine job and bringing us together on these evenings. I'd just like to tell you a little bit about myself. This will be my 3rd term I'm running for council at large. I have worked on Bridge Street in property management for 25 years. I lived on Bridge Street. I also have lived on East 2nd Street and ran a small business in downtown Chillicothe. I have worked in a countywide transportation program and worked on Watts Street, and now I live off of Western Avenue, and I'm working on Western Avenue, so it kind of fits for me that I am a council at large. I've been involved in very many community activities. I'm currently serving on the Carver Community Board. I have been the past president of the Convention and Visitors Bureau. I have also been on the Bicentennial Commission, and I have been able to, and I've also worked with the Homeless Coalition for the City of Chillicothe and the Ross County Reentry Association. So I've had a lot of engagement with the community on many levels in many ways. And that's why I thoroughly enjoy my council at large position, because I don't always feel pigeonholed, and I'm able to bring people together and to have a lot of discussion about what is going on in all aspects of our community. So I'd like to thank you for coming, and I'd appreciate your vote.
Thank you. Joel is not here either, and Florima. And so, Dustin Prohl, are you here?
I am most certainly here.
All right.
I never miss these events. These
That's
are
right.
always very important to the community, and I tell you, it's great to see your candidates and get to meet them. I'm Dustin Prohl, and I'm a candidate for Chillicothe Council at Large. I've been on council for 12 years. This is my 7th, actually 8th run for council. So That's exciting for myself and my family. But, we are making a lot of great progress here in Chillicothe. The streets are getting paved, the water problems are getting fixed, the downtown is coming back. There are new opportunities developing all the time. And, I feel like it's a lot of pride to take part in this. I serve as on the Safety Service Committee and the Utilities Committee, and I chair both the Finance Committee and the Technology Committee. During my time on council, I've championed a lot of things like, regulations on adult-oriented businesses, protecting prayer before council, cleaning up meth labs. Also, trying to be a good steward of the money. And as Luke said, we have worked hard to get this budget under control, put more money into our carryover, and get ourselves out of fiscal watch, and we've been able to do all of that. One of the things that I'm really proud of is that I've been able to work with our auditor in helping to modernize that department and make it even more transparent, and getting our sidewalks down Western Avenue. I'll tell you a little quick story. I had a constituent that told me every year that I've been on council, he said, you've got to get these sidewalks down Western Avenue. And that's one thing about being on council. You keep at it, you keep working at it, and eventually you get it done. And I'm glad, because it's going to be a big safety boom for the people of that area. So thank you. I appreciate your vote this November.
Thank you.
Next candidate for council at large is Joseph Sharp.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks to the League of Women Voters for putting this on. My name is Joe Sharp. I've lived in Chillicothe all my life. I've successfully started from the ground up 2 businesses that I've owned for over 30 years, and I still operate today, Sharp Cycles and Oak Hill Properties. I served on council. I first ran for council 10 years ago, roughly, and I served 1 term as council at large, and quickly became interested and very passionate about the city and how things are done, and had bigger ideals and really wanted more control of what was being done with the city. So I ran for mayor, lost that race. I think I ran for mayor again, lost. And one thing you got to say, I'm not a very good politician. Maybe this haircut shows that I didn't do the proper thing to be a candidate. I'm not very good at politics. What I am good at is getting things done, seeing the need, and doing the deed when I see that need. I take care of things. Having run for office, it got me interested. 25 years ago, I didn't do anything. After running for office, I really became involved in my city. And since that time, I joined the Kiwanis Club, the Lions Club, the Rotary Club. That was 8 years ago. I've been a member of all 3 of those clubs. I've served as president of those 2 of the clubs. I've been on the boards. I've got a lot of board experience. I got a lot of hands-on experience. I think I've got a lot to offer as far as giving different viewpoints and opinions to the administration, and maybe giving them an angle they haven't seen. And I would appreciate a vote. Keep me in mind when you're voting. We've got 3 Democrats at large. Pick your party for your ward, but at large, let's diversify it and have maybe an independent, a Republican, and a Democrat. Those are just your 3 auxiliary council people.
Thank
anyway.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
Another council at large, Devin Shoemaker.
All right, hello.
Hello.
I'm Devin Shoemaker, and I'm running for council at large. I'm a lifelong East Ender, and I hope to earn your vote to represent all of Chillicothe. With over 20 years' experience as a professional planner, I'll advocate for the development of a city master plan. It's imperative that we address long-term financial solvency, beginning with a capital improvement plan. I want to see growth, development, and redevelopment in all of our vacant areas. Within our core, grow inside. I also want to promote policies and projects to reduce traffic congestion on Bridge Street and Western Avenue. I want to see a walkable, bikeable, healthy, and active community. I want to connect our neighborhoods to downtown and our downtown core to our cultural and historic sites via a network of trails and sidewalks. I support parks and trails. I'm all in. And I can guarantee you that I will respect and support our heroes in law enforcement, and our firemen and firemen women. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next candidate for municipal judge, Judge John Street.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm John Street. I'm running for judge of the Chillicothe Municipal Court. This is an office I've held since 1996. During that time, I've presided over and ruled on tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of cases. Everything from speeding to OVI, from dogs at large to domestic violence, from small claims to evictions to disputes about, well, you name it. In each of these cases, I've tried to rule correctly and fairly and impartially and according to law. I try to apply the law as it's supposed to be applied, fairly to everybody, and to treat people with dignity and respect. Nearly 24 years ago, I took my first oath of office. In that time, I promised to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Ohio, to administer justice without respect to persons, and to faithfully and impartially perform the duties of a judge. I take that oath seriously, and I try to live up to it in every case, every day. So I'm here tonight to ask you for your vote this election. I want to thank you for your time, and I look forward to any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Beth, are you ready? Beth James Neal, First Ward.
That last person was tall. Good evening, and thank you for being here tonight. I'm Beth Neal. I've been on council since 2012 and represented the First Ward for the past 4 years. The First Ward is the area, Western Avenue, basically from Woodbridge to Dakotas. And right now it is an area that's experiencing growth and change, and with that brings excitement and challenges. So at each new opportunity, I'm listening closely to the residents that I represent. I'm working full-time to make sure that your vision of our neighborhood is the one that I'm working towards. We've seen big improvements in our wards with new paved streets, water lines, storm sewers, and more police patrol. A major project is underway on Western Avenue that includes widening the road and adding a sidewalk. In addition to hosting coffee chats and writing a newsletter, I've met with many of you individually concerning specific problems for your property or neighborhood, and I've been a strong advocate to get your problems solved. I also work to improve and strengthen our city. I'm on several boards, and I'm always working on projects and ideas that bring business and investment to downtown and to the area. Sometimes I just like to work on projects that make life a little more fun, for instance, the dog park and the flowers downtown. I'm asking for your vote on November the 5th so I can continue to work for your neighborhood, for you, and for our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next candidate for First Ward Council is Greg Phillips.
Wake up, everybody. It is great to be here this evening, and first of all, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for this incredible opportunity to directly engage the voters. Thank you so much for what you do and what you've continued to do to bring that about. Let me jump right into why I believe that I'm the best candidate to represent the First Ward of Chillicothe on City Council come November 5th. One is the vast array of experiences that I bring as a school teacher for 23 years at Chillicothe City Schools, resurrecting a completely dead softball program as the head coach for 9 years. I'm the district liaison for the Keys to Success drug-free program, where we have gotten to deeply delve into the issues at really the base of our youth and where addiction stems from. Also serving on the Adam H. Board currently, 22 years plus as either a lead pastor or associate pastor or youth pastor in our community. And I've lived almost my entire 45 years in the First Ward. But beyond that, what sets me apart is my communication. Everything I do is out of love. I love this city. This is my town. And so everything I do is with passion, and it's with energy, and it's with exuberance. And that is what Chillicothe needs. And we need a breath of fresh air, and we need to communicate better with our constituents, starting with getting an app for cell phones that allow people to take Chillicothe mobile so that they can stay connected to city council meetings live, and so they can find out about all of the events happening in real time in our city. So please vote for me if you live in the 1st Ward. Come on the 5th of November. Thank you, God bless, and you guys are amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. 2nd Ward Council, Brandon Lawson. Come on down.
How's everyone? Good?
Good.
Yes, good.
Good.
I'm good, and I'm excited to be running for 2nd Ward again. I ran 2 years ago, narrowly lost by 8 votes, so that was a little bit of a heartbreaker. But just a little more push over the hill. But why am I really excited? I'm excited to put to use my education that I've had. I went away to school, studied government and policy processes, studied budgetary theory, and I want to bring some of those things back to council. Because I was an Americanist with an emphasis on policy. I've got several different philosophies of government that really bring that to the forefront. The first of all is that our policy needs to be sustainable. And to do this, we need to have a plan that looks 5, 10, 20 years down the road. Try to see what we think the economy is going to be like. Try to make sure that we're able to take care of that policy when the time comes. Policies also need to be enforceable. So a place where Chillicothe, I think, could do this better. We've got a great nuisance program, but it takes 8 contacts for somebody to receive a fine from the city. That is too many. We need to streamline that process so we're more in line with other governments around us. And finally, what this here represents, transparency and communication. It is really important that we all, as political leaders, attend meetings like this and stay in touch with our constituents in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
Candidate for 3rd Ward Council, Lana Fairchild.
Thank you for allowing me to be here. Hi, my name is Lana Fairchild, and I am your 3rd Ward City Councilwoman. Chillicothe is a town like no other. I always say we're a small town with a big city attitude. We're small enough to call our neighbors friends, yet we're faced with many hardships of cities much larger. As I attended a committee meeting last week, I was reminded yet again how important it is we have a city council that is thoughtful and considerate in its decisions, not just for today, but for our future. Whether we're discussing traffic patterns and access roads, infrastructure, or even economic development, we must continue to evaluate what is sustainable, what is fiscally responsible, and what will make our community stronger for both our residents and our businesses. We have a rich history we celebrate, but we have an exciting future we need to work towards. It all starts with planning. We need a sound budget process that is robust and comprehensive, and we need a strategic plan and forecast that looks down the road 3, 5, or even 10 years. Politicians will come and go, leadership will change, but our city and our homes will be here forever. It's time to build our future. As your city council person, I have and will continue to pursue legislation and regulation that makes sense, that builds partnerships and ensures a prosperous future for residents and businesses alike. We need leadership that understands today's challenges and can communicate and address tomorrow's needs. Thank you.
Thank you. 3rd Ward Council, Deidre Nickerson. Come on down.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'd like to thank you all for coming tonight. Once again, my name's Deidre Nickerson, and I want to represent the 3rd Ward. I know you all are here to learn a little bit about me. I'm not one that likes to really talk a lot about myself. I'm a much better listener. In fact, I'm really nervous about being here tonight in front of you all. But I'm here to say I'm passionate about our city, and I think Chillicothe is in an exciting time. I'm eager to participate in the decisions that continue to make Chillicothe better now and for the future. I'm a big believer in preserving our neighborhoods, historic downtown, and supporting local businesses. Campaigning's been a lot of hard work. I have great supporters that have helped me tremendously, but when they told me I had to go knocking on doors and talk to people, I thought, oh Lord, folks don't want me knocking on their door. They're going to slam the door right in my face. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth. I've been very well received, and it's become my favorite thing to do. I love talking to people, and I love hearing their concerns for the city. We all want the same thing, a safe and thriving community that lends itself to growth and well-being. I hope to have the opportunity to represent the 3rd Ward, and I ask for your vote on November 5th.
Thank you.
Candidate for 4th Ward Council, David Tapman.
Good evening. I'm not sure I can use the 90 seconds. I'm not used to it after being married for 49 years to my wife, Brenda. I'm David Tapman. I'm a 4th Ward candidate. Got somebody laughing. Anyhow, 20 years with Big Bear. I retired as a store manager. Then I got the brilliant idea to buy my own store, which was Tat's Market. We had for 18 years. And if it wasn't for my family, we wouldn't have made it 18 years. But since getting out of that business, I haven't really done a lot. I'm trying to be retired. It's not working too well, but I'm still trying. And nobody's really paid attention to my name badge. It has Tat Dad. When I was a Big Bear store manager, the 20-somethings would let me play baseball, softball, basketball with them, so they affectionately called me Tat Dad. But somebody mentioned the sidewalk on Western Avenue. I'm glad they did, because I think that's really looking nice out there. When they get that done, the extra lane and Plowley's Lane, and I think that's next year's project. I think Western Avenue will be a lot better. I know we've got issues on Bridge Street. I know we've got issues on Western Avenue, but we are looking at them, and I think we've got a good council and an excellent mayor. So I think going forward, the last 4 years have been great, and I think it'll continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Tat Dad. For 5th Council Ward Council is Courtney Lewis.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having me. My name is Courtney Lewis, and this is my inaugural running for City Council, 5th Ward. So again, I'm also very nervous, Deidre. I grew up in Chillicothe. I'm from here. I graduated from Chillicothe High School, and like a lot of people, I kind of had no desire to come back to Chillicothe. I was kind of done with it. But going away, I learned how all towns have problems and goals and lots of little things they're working on. And I learned that your goals and your dreams are not defined geographically. I moved back, and something I really wanted to help was instill pride in our town. I opened Totem Supply Company in 2013, and since then, I think the downtown has really flourished. In 2015, myself along with 2 other ladies got together and started a nonprofit to open a children's museum in downtown Chillicothe. We wanted to attract young families to the area to live here and have that as an amenity. We successfully raised $450,000 in 2 years to then open in October of 2017. As a business owner, nonprofit, and currently the PR for our Ross County Board of Developmental Disabilities, I notice where change can be affected the quickest is in local government. I'm excited to be transparent with my ward, focusing on accessibility, making sure that people of all abilities have the ability to live, work, and play in our town, as well as connection and being a good communicator to our ward, making sure they're aware of things that are in there they might need to be aware of. I believe in this town, I believe in the people here, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. We now have questions, and Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor?
I'm ready.
You are ready? Because we have a question for you. Would you like to use the microphone at your table, please, and thank you? And you get 1 minute. And here's your question.
Has the city investigated any energy-saving measures such as electric or hybrid cars?
Yes, we've investigated several. We're currently looking into, on the electric vehicle side, the possibility of partnering with AEP. They have a program where you can do either basically citizen-driven cars or city fleet parking. So we're looking to partner with them. It's like one of those things where there's ebbs and flows of funding rounds. We've also spent a lot of time and energy looking at energy efficiency citywide. So looking at lighting in buildings. One of the things I love about the job is how much I learn every day and things that I never would have thought I would have known. But things like stoplights in the city are incredibly expensive, and conversion to LED for all of those stoplights would actually save the city a lot of money. So we're almost constantly looking into ways to save money and help the environment along the way.
Okay?
Thank you.
Is that all you need to say?
That's all the time I had, I think.
That's true. All right.
Was that an offer?
It's all good. We do have a question for the President of Council, and that means that each of you will have that opportunity between the two of you to answer. Guess what time you get? 1 minute.
How does the job of council president differ from being a council member?
Joe. Do you need the question again?
Yeah, so you're asking what the job, the council president versus council being a member of council?
Correct.
Yeah. The president of council is the organizing force to drive the community forward with meetings, setting agendas, working with the different branches of government, the judiciary, the administrative, and of course the legislative. And that's the role of the president of council. Obviously, when you're a councilman, you're advocating for policies and things.
Mr. Arnold.
Quite right. It is organizing. Committee assignments come to me, and I put them to the various committees. There's 9 committees. I get them out within 24, no more than 48 hours. From there, I follow up with the committees, make sure they're working through them. When I first started council, I started showing up at the committee meetings. Before my previous council president didn't, and they all started saying, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Well, I'd like to know what you've got going on." I said, I have to vote if there is a tie. Now, in the 6 years that I've been in here, I've never had to vote for a tie, but if I had to, it sure would be nice if I knew what was going on. At any rate, it is somewhat paper pushing, but it is also following up, keeping things going, and working with administration to make, and fire department, police department, all the different departments in the city to know what's going on, know what their needs are, and help them get what they need through council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. We have another, it is for City Council, and I think we will start with, you pick.
We'll start with Seal.
In 2016, a non-discrimination ordinance was introduced and died in committee. Will you work to pass a non-discrimination ordinance that includes protections for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender persons once elected to City Council?
When that was entered and then it was just taken out of committee not too long ago, I think at the time we were hoping that there was going to be a decision made at the Supreme Court level that would maybe handle that for us. A large part of that ordinance has to also do with overseeing people that would not adhere to the rules and the regulations, therefore having to have a commission that would oversee it. It seemed a bit cumbersome for our community, then they would have to go to Columbus. So since that decision was not handled, but now there are 2 cases actually that are going forward, one going forward to the Supreme Court tomorrow, and then there have been some things that Governor DeWine has passed down that I'm hoping that would come down to this level. And I am absolutely 100%, always in favor of not discriminating against anyone for any one reason.
All right, thank you very much. You can applaud. You can applaud.
All right, Dustin.
Same question, okay. Of course, that particular piece of legislation, was kind of poorly written, and when it came out, there was not a lot of buy-in from the community, and it's a shame, because I think the community as a large liked the idea, but they didn't like how it was written, and there wasn't a lot of opportunity to really craft that with the public. Like Seal said, we did believe at the time there would be legislation coming down from the state or from the federal government that would address this problem. But since that has yet to appear, I'd be happy to revisit that and look at other alternatives, something that would be more agreeable to the community as a whole, but still be able to provide protections for everyone, because everyone deserves to have, equality and be treated fairly and live in a safe and supportive community.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Other at
Joe?
large.
Having no information on the issue, I would have to have more information and get brought up to speed. I'm not aware of it as the serving council members were involved and I wasn't, so
Okay.
I really couldn't say
We
one way or
wanted you
the
to have
other.
a turn anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you. And?
And Devin.
Well, I'm not aware of the legislation, but I do know that federal and state law does protect against discrimination. So I would have to work with council and the mayor to actually look at the legislation that will be put before us.
Okay. Thank you very much. We have another question. Who is it for? Council at large. Well, we're going to do it again.
Where do you stand on the possibility of a safe injection site to reduce dangerous drug waste in public areas?
Your call.
Go with Seal again.
I believe that we need a community health assessment, and I think actually right now we haven't had a Ross County Community Health Assessment, I think since 2016, and I think we're beginning to conduct one. And with the recent overdoses this week, our community is seeing a spike in fentanyl overdoses as opposed to the opiates. And I think that there is several things that we are going to need to be able to do to address these situations. And I'm not opposed to anything that if there's evidence-based that would let us know that it works for a community. But once again, I would need to see the evidence that it works and it would work for our community.
Let's just go down the line. Joe. Ready, Joe?
Yeah, I'm ready. Safe injection site, wow. My first thought is, wow, where would that be? What would the location for that be? If it's in a safe, a properly situated location, perhaps the hospital or a zone like that, and professionals were overseeing it, maybe I would be open to that. I'd be concerned what neighborhood that you might be opening up a safe injection site. That means that drug addicts are going to be coming there and can safely use clean, safe, supervised needles. Whoa, wow. I would like to see that done in a safe, supervised, and it would really depend on the location for me.
Thank you.
I would rather see us put our energies into trying to find ways to get people off of narcotics rather than supporting a habit. I understand that it is a disease in which, addiction takes hold and it's hard to let go of. But I think that the idea of the safe injection site, although it has its health benefits, I think it's throwing up your hands and saying we give up. There's no redemption. I think there's ways for people to find a way out of the habit And that would be a really better choice and a healthier choice for our community.
Prevention.
Exactly.
All right. I agree with everything Dustin just said, but it's personal to me. I lost my nephew Chase December of 2017 to a fentanyl overdose at his home. His father found him after he got off work. Very, very sad. I think that these sites, I'd have to look at it a little bit stronger, but I think that we're defeating the purpose. I think awareness, education, and getting these people some help is the answer. I don't think a safe injection site would have helped my nephew, so I don't know.
Thank you, though, for responding to the question. First Ward Council. We have a question that we're concerned about, and it is, we're not going to do it. Okay, here we go. That's why we have screeners. If you're really curious, come up and talk to me later. Okay, it's right here. Okay. Second Ward, here we go.
As someone who will be new to council, what is one of the most important issues facing Chillicothe City Council?
Can my opponent go first?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, okay.
Hearing nothing from them, go ahead.
Just wanted to see. So, facing city council, I believe that having stability in city councils makes your council work better and put better policy together. If you can all stay on the same page and stay around. That's one of the problems, frankly, that my position in council has had. You know, since Nancy was our council person, we have not had a sustainable growth within just the second ward. Of course, we've got people on council who are still doing wonderful things, but the turnover rate is bad. And if you talk to anybody who manages anything, one of the things that kills you first is your turnover rate. And pretty soon our turnover rate is going to increase. People are going to start leaving. We need to have the younger generation step up and do what they need to do to make sure Chillicothe remains a place that people want to live.
All right, thank you so much. Okay. And the third ward.
What makes you uniquely qualified and the better choice for the third ward?
What makes me uniquely qualified? I think I have a little different perspective to bring to council. I have a small business in town. I have a small little Airbnb that I'm running, so I have a lot of visitors coming to town. I care about what they see in Chillicothe, their perspective, what they want to do, and if they have a good time, if they'll come back and visit. I think we need to nurture the tourism in Chillicothe. You know, I care about our history downtown. I think it's important that we protect it, restore what we have, and make downtown a great place to come and visit.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I think I'm uniquely qualified for this position because of my education and my experience and my commitment to this community. I hold a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, as well as have served for 25 years or more in positions in small business, large business, and in government. To see the relationships that have to be built between all three to have an effective community that can move forward. I also have served, or I currently serve as president of First Capital Rotary. I've also been the chairman of the Dina Health Foundation board, where I served on that board for over 11 years. So I have worked closely with our community on several levels to change the quality of life, to address the opioid epidemic, to actually put funds to work funds that this community has donated that they think is important. So I think I'm uniquely qualified for this position, and I think that I am the best choice for candidate for the 3rd Ward. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much. First Ward, we're going to go ahead and ask you this question, and here it is.
Are you running with the full intention to fulfill the entirety of your term if elected?
Yes. 71 Limestone is a beautiful little home. Come visit me sometime. You're more than welcome, and absolutely.
Yes. If I wasn't, then I'm really crazy because I have spent a lot of time knocking on doors and having fundraisers and working on policy, and I fully intend to serve my full term. Thank you.
Thank you. And we fully intended to also ask every question that has come to us, and so thank you for answering it. All right? And Council at Large, we're back to you, please and thank you. We'll go with Seal, please. Ready?
What makes you uniquely qualified and a better choice for a council at large position, and how does that differ from representing a specific ward?
I think I already covered a little bit of that in my opening, but I really think that I could do either or, and I also think that most of the people that serve and most of the people that are up here tonight could do either or. I think I have spent a lot of time in our community in a lot of different ways at a lot of different levels, and so I'm blessed and I'm lucky to have been a part of all areas of Chillicothe. I've walked the streets for many candidates and knocked on many doors for many years, and I've also just participated in a lot of community activities that have opened those doors for me. But I think that, sometimes there are some communities that the council serves the whole community. They don't have wards. Now, I don't know if that would work in Chillicothe, but there are communities that have dissolved their ward and everyone works for the community. So I don't think that's a bad idea either.
All right. Thank you. Joe?
I think what makes me uniquely qualified is having grown up in Chillicothe and lived here all my life. As a kid, boy, I tell you, I had 10 brothers and sisters, and we ran wild all over town. I've been all over this city. I've been in every alley, every backyard. As a youth, I slowed down a little bit, but I was still a little wild. But as I got older and matured and ran for council, when I served on council last time, after I was elected, I continued going door to door. I bet I visited 80% of the homes in the city limits. I then I made it a goal to go to every single church. And I went to a different church every Sunday and gave my pay to the church. I give $50 every time I went to a different church. And really got to know some people there. I own over 100 rental properties in Chillicothe. I'm all over town. I have houses all over town. Having served after I got on council, I served on the Kiwanis, Rotary, and Lions. Those are all service organizations. And I've probably done more through those service organizations for the city than I have as a council person. So I think that makes me uniquely qualified.
Thank you, Joe.
I guess what would make me uniquely qualified was the fact that experience. I've been on council a long time. I've worked with 3 different mayors, and I think somewhere around almost 30 different council people when you add them all together. And that level of experience working with everybody, whether they be Democrat or they're Republican, it never really matters because we're all Chillicothians and we're trying to do our best to put this city forward. So that's a big help for me because it's been a lot of times, I started off and Tom Trutchell was the guy that was on council that you would ask questions and, Tom, what was the vote on this back in the day? And And now it's me that they ask, what was the vote back in the day? Funny thing was, when Joe was on council, he had less hair than me. Now I have less hair than him. So I don't know, Joe, you might want to rethink this, but because it is stressful, but it is something that is a great point of pride. And, you know, I grew up in this community. I have 2 young daughters, and they're growing up in this community, so I have a vested interest in making sure this city succeeds.
Thank you, Dustin. All right. Clapping for you. And Mr. Shoemaker.
I think as a professional planner that I think I'm uniquely qualified to help the city meet the challenges and opportunities that we face here soon. We're facing World Heritage is coming up. We face many opportunities with that. I'm sure you all are well aware of the type of jobs and the challenges we're going to face by catering to those visitors, et cetera. We have to plan for that. So that's just one thing. I think that, you know, my position over the years, 30 seconds, I've worked for many, many local governments, so I'm used to politicians, and I think I can work well with everyone. So, thank you.
Thank you. And for Mr. Mayor, I know we keep bothering you. I'm sorry. I know. Here's your question.
What are your plans to deal with homelessness, especially as we are moving into winter?
Good question. So, to my knowledge, the city itself historically hasn't offered or put up its own homeless shelters. It might be a community action running a men's homeless shelter, or at times the Domestic Violence Coalition has opened its doors more broadly. But I think one of the things that we've been able to accomplish over the past 4 years, and even beyond that, is working together to collaborate. So we've recently had success with the county land bank and looked at properties in sort of a broader way. I have no personal plans right now to address the homelessness issue. I can tell you that here recently we have had to use law enforcement to look into some scary incidents. But I think the main thing that I need the community to know is that I'm open to collaboration and open to help, and I think that the city council has shown when opportunities are presented to them, they take them, and they're also willing to work together.
Good. Thank you. Do we have more questions?
Yeah, we have several.
We have several.
Yep.
Do we have time? Is everybody okay? All right, thank you for laughing. Thank you. I like that you mentioned the World Heritage Site, and bed and breakfasts are going to be the name of the game, isn't it? I also like that, Mr. Lawson, you mentioned our person who was the very first on city council as the youngest person ever in the whole United States is Nancy King, who is a League of Women Voters person, okay? Just saying. Thank you for mentioning her. Okay. Yep, we have a general ward question. General ward. Is that everybody?
Yeah, I think that's everybody.
Okay, we'll just go right straight down the line.
Okay.
Here we go.
List 2 ideas you have to ease complaints about downtown parking.
Seal, that's you to start.
We need to start down there.
Let's start down there. We're going to start with you. We're going to start with you. Okay. Here we go. Courtney.
As a downtown business owner, very well of the parking situation.
Okay, good.
I think we have a lot of parking lots that I don't think are really advertised very well in regards to the entrance of the park. Even down below near the baseball, that's a huge parking lot. Maybe it's we need to pave it, making sure it's more accessible, and better signage, letting people know where it is. One of the things that was important to me as a business owner, I was on a parking subcommittee, and we encouraged getting the parking controller back. I forgot what it would be called, but that was the most important thing to me, was making sure that people were not parked on the streets for 8 hours a day. And as long as we have some sort of, it's always going to be a thing that we have to work on, but I think it's at least moving in the right direction in regards of people having accessibility to it and keeping people moving and not sitting there for so long.
Okay.
Oh, that answered it.
Tap Daddy.
Yes, ma'am. Unfortunately, in Chillicothe, we've always had that thing about if you can't park in front of the store, then you don't have parking. And that bugs me to death. I mean, you go to Columbus or anywhere, Cincinnati, and you go someplace, you've got to walk. They got parking lots, but you got to walk. We do have municipal parking, and I saw plans where I think, Luke might verify this, that we're going to add additional parking down possibly in part of the park area, but that's in the future. How long, I don't know. But no, we got a parking problem, but we don't have a parking problem. People just need to walk and check our city out. I mean, let's look at it. I mean, downtown Chillicothe is starting to really bud, and it's blossoming up. It's looking nice, and we got more people coming in. Okay, we got a parking problem.
It's not a bad thing.
Go ahead. Ms. Fairchild, do you want to answer?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we going all the way down? Is that
Yes.
the plan? Okay.
Just thought I'd ask.
I think I would really agree with Courtney, and she hit both points. Number one is, I was on the chamber board when we had the Hyatt Palma plan, and one of the things that stuck out to me the most was we have adequate parking. It's finding that adequate parking. And I know I've actually worked on a wayfinding system as well to get people into the parking lot, and it's hard to do. So I think continued signage, continue to communicate with the people working downtown where those parking lots are. I love the idea. We've thrown that out at council a couple times. There's some grants that might be available to pave the parking lot at the bottom of the hill, which would be an ideal location for overflow parking. And then she hit the nail on the head with enforcement. We just have got to use the parking places in front of the businesses for the allotted amount of time to allow that flow of traffic. But those are the two things that I think once we get those under control and able to do those, we'll find that we have ample parking downtown and it'll continue to flourish as it has.
I don't think there's anything else to add to that. I agree with everybody. I think having a parking problem is a great problem downtown. I think that just shows that people want to be downtown. I think we do need to change our mindset and realize that we can't park right in front of the door. We need to walk. So, do you have anything to add?
I don't really have anything to add. I was always fond of saying that Chillicothe doesn't have a parking problem, it has a walking problem. So maybe I'll look into grants for treadmills for people. I don't know what you'd necessarily need. But Courtney is quite right about, I know I talked about how turnover is horrible, but that's when it's people working for you. When it's cars outside of spots that have been sitting there for 6 hours, turnover is a good thing, and it's what we need to see more of. Because really, it's just about keeping the space free. I think we have enough space. We just need to make sure that people aren't sitting there taking it up.
Okay.
So you said 2 ideas, right? Is that what you said?
That's what the person who asked the question wanted, was 2 ideas.
2 ideas. Okay, here's one, and that is that behind a lot of our downtown buildings, there is undeveloped parking spaces. We have old sheds that are half falling down, all kinds of encumbrances that prevent those from being used for parking. So that would be idea number 1, is to develop that back building parking. And the second one is something that's actually kind of making the rounds through Downtown Development Commission right now, and that is that there are a lot of underutilized lots in Chillicothe. There are churches, the chamber, if you look through downtown, you'll see these vacant lots where everybody's driving around looking for a parking place and there's no cars in these lots. So they're trying to come up with a program that says we use our lot from this time to this time. Like if you're a church, you want it Wednesday night, Sunday morning. Otherwise, the public's free to park here, and I think that's just a great idea. So I hope we can work on that.
Okay. Yeah, got an applause.
And I agree. Often when we come down West Water Street, there are a lot of spots. Often kind of down where your business is and on down there, there's often just wide open spaces. And so it definitely is a communication issue. People realizing and getting the word out that we are going to have to walk would be the first point. The second point, I want to just make sure that we're making sure to leave the proper spaces, to be in compliance with the ADA and making sure that our elderly and our disabled have the correct amount of spots secured to make sure that they can park because of their potential disability, possibly. So it's kind of beating a dead horse, but walk.
Okay.
Okay, Nick. Ready?
All right. We
Let's
can
go.
do it.
Okay.
You have new idea?
I was on, I had this, I was 8 years on city council, and I cut my teeth on the parking issue. I led the drive to get a parking study, and of course, I led the drive to get Palmer hired. So I have a lot of, my bones are there. I've really, was at the Saving Carlisle building, all that was pretty much my career. So I think it's a good issue. I think everyone's kind of addressed it properly. It's a lot of it's about signage and cleaning up the back lots and things like that. I do have a concern about the lack of progress on 2nd Street, though. I don't understand. I know I've read the reasons, excuses. I really think this can be done quickly and not too costly. But 2nd Street really needs to be a two-way street, and I think that's causing some of the parking problems we're having. Because I know that when I do business on 2nd Street, it's a challenge to get yourself oriented so that you could be at the right point on 2nd Street to get to the business you want to get to. And I end up, having to drive through alleys and stuff, and it's kind of ridiculous. So I think we need to change reverse the situation on 2nd Street, make it a two-way street, and that'll help the parking problem. Thank you.
Okay. You're next.
Can I?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay.
I go back even a little further than that. I was passed as president of the Downtown Associates for three terms. And of course, that was a big discussion back in the day, and that goes way back. I've always said it's a parking perception, not a problem, which it is, but it is increased. You mentioned my business. Used to be there wasn't cars in front of my business in the evenings. Now there is, by almost every night. It's always full. So it has changed considerably. The downtown has changed. I have thought about having those back lots filled. They need to be paved with the cooperation, maybe with the people that own them. Half the lots be available for free parking. The other half's cleaning up the back property is for the gratis of the business or the owners to be able to do it. And I also think there should be maybe a permit system that may come to town where people would actually pay to maybe park in a yellow lot or a green lot or a blue lot. Some lots may be free, some lots may have a price to them, but I think the back parking and a parking permit system may work for this town.
Okay. Thank you. We're going to change up and ask the mayor, because you got another question right here, and it is?
There is a lack of public water in the city. What are your plans to ensure citizens can get a drink of water?
There is a lack of public water.
There's no drinking fountains.
There's no drinking, okay, that's a different, okay.
We just read them.
How do we get more drinking fountains? Well, this is the first time, honestly, that this topic has been brought to my attention. At times we have, and I think addressed, individual water fountains that have gone bad over time, and we've replaced. There's a couple in the park, there's one on the bike path. We added 2 new water fountains to the dog park. There's a really neat...
Are they for the dogs, though?
They're actually for both.
Okay.
I think actually there might be 3 water fountains at the dog park. There's a new water fountain in the public administration building, which is a public building, that actually counts the number of bottles we save. But again, one of the things that I've been surprised about in this position is how complicated things really are. So I'll give you an example. There was a water fountain right downtown that was actually at the corner of Paint and Main Street, presumably a city water fountain. It was actually a county water fountain. And when the county water fountain goes bad, it's very frustrating. You have to coordinate, and it's not that we don't want to provide water to our citizens, but the level of coordination necessary is sometimes more epic than one might assume. But I'm all for water, and I would love this new council to take on an initiative for water fountains on every city corner.
All right. We're going to look at council at large one more time. Let's go with you, Mr. Shoemaker, first, and it is?
What are your plans in dealing with nuisance properties?
Well, good question. Well, only thing I can tell you is I'll work with council and the mayor to look at the situation. I know that we did have a nuisance officer, but I haven't seen him around very much. And then whenever the nuisance officer did come around, they usually tried to get me for the wrong property. So my experience with the nuisance officer hasn't been that great, but definitely we need to control nuisance. In order to become a world-class community, properties have to be neat, clean, tidy, etc. It adds value to the neighborhood, etc.
Okay.
Nuisance enforcement is probably one of the main reasons why people live in a city, so that they can have some control over what their neighborhood's going to look like and what the aesthetics are going to be. It's also, as a council person, probably one of the issues that we get phone calls about the most. People often call because their neighbors haven't mowed their grass, or they are have a pile of trash or something out back, and then trying to resolve that. I think one of the things we need to do is streamline how we do our nuisance program, because there is a lot of steps, and it frustrates the community whenever they call and they say, well, I want this fixed or cleaned up, and we say, well, we got to follow this process, and the process is there to protect all of us, because you wouldn't want to be wrongfully accused of a nuisance problem. You want to have your due diligence filled out, but we do need to speed it up so that we can get things, especially like when it comes to summertime and mowing grass. By the time they're told to mow the grass, well, it's fall and they're trying to rake leaves. So it's one of the most important things we need to do, and enforcement is the key.
Thank you.
I'll have you know that I am a professional at nuisance issues. As I said earlier, I have over 100 rental properties in this city. Every day on a daily basis, I am picking up trash, debris, not only at my properties, but other people's properties. If I see trash in the street, I stop and pick it up. If I see trash in the alleys or a couch, if I'm running through town with my trailer cleaning up some of my rental properties, I'll stop and gather stuff that I see laying around. If I see neighbors that need help hauling stuff, I help them haul it off. I think I've been dealing with this nuisance issue and the nuisance officer for 10 years. And, I had a few issues, and I talked to Luke a few times, didn't I, Luke? And I got good response from the administration and the nuisance officer, and I think we're doing a pretty good job with nuisances. One thing I'd like to see is I'd like to see it applied like the mayor had done with the snow removal. I'd like to see a system where not only can you call if you have a nuisance, but if we could drive a designated route, so you're making sure you're hitting every single neighborhood, alley, location. And I'd like to see that administered too. And I know my time's up, but I wanted to answer the 2 parking questions. I studied and thought and racked my brain, and I thought, man, when it gets to me, will I be able to have anything different? I think on the parking, one thing is, if you own a business, we should try to encourage the people who own business or have employees to get as far away from the downtown as they can to park in some of our municipal lots. We should encourage that, as well as government officials. You'll notice our police, court workers, they're parking near to the courthouse. If we could encourage them to save those spots for the community, especially now that business is growing the way it is. And third, I know it's 2, but 3, you never would have thought a parking garage, privately business-owned parking garage would have been a good idea. But boy, the way the city's growing now and the way we've got traffic and demand for parking, and we have a lot of people investing into the community, maybe some of these people, maybe somebody will come along and it might be worthwhile to invest in some type of a parking facility. So maybe.
Thank you for your service picking up everything around the city. Thank you. Seal.
As far as the nuisance, we actually we have had an increase in violations and addressing situations. And we also, I don't know, a lot of people don't know this, but you can just go on our website and you can plug in an address, and you don't have to give your name, or, so you don't have to have a dispute with your neighbor. And most of those are responded to rather quickly. And, part of nuisance sometimes is people's, lack of concern for their community, but a lot of times people have challenges in taking care of their homes, and so I suggest sometimes maybe, if you have a neighbor that's elderly or disabled, call the city, and a lot of times you'd be surprised at things that we're able to do for people. But I get a lot of phone calls on a regular basis, and Pat Patrick is pretty much the nuisance czar of the city, and she knows every nuisance in this community. And I call her a lot, and we all work with her a lot. And I think we've cleaned up a lot of areas already, but please, use our website.
All right, good advice. We have something for the President of Council, and Mr. Arnold, would you go first? Here's your question.
Ross County is on the list to become a World Heritage Site. What will you do to ensure the county becomes listed?
We've already been discussing, or I've been in discussion with the World Heritage Site. I vaguely know about it, to be real honest with you. As things will increase and come forward, the ideas, I'm sure, will become assignments to council. Myself, I'm looking forward to it. I think the influx into the community is going to be great. It's going to be great for the community, and it's going to be quite a challenge for council to take up the assignments that we will probably come up with. Right now, there isn't anything that is come up to council that's been directly attributed to the World Heritage, but looking forward to it, and I'll work with everybody trying to get it taken care of that I can.
Thank you, Mr.
Absolutely.
Arnold. You think, Joe?
The World Heritage, yes, very important to the well-being of our community. Economic development, hotel, motel stays, restaurants, the whole 9 yards. Of course, we have a great assets in the Hopewell culture, and then maybe possibly Camp Sherman. So I think there's a lot of potential. I know that they've been talking about a site for a visitor center, probably on the north side of town. So, but I think there has been some delays, unfortunately, not in Chillicothe or Ross County, but more in the Newark area, the venue in Newark, Ohio. I think the golf course has been a problem, and I think they're working on that, but it's kind of delayed, put everything on hold. So I think it's put it back a year or two, from what I can tell. But I'm very involved. I know a lot of the people involved, and if you actually had a family, our family made an investment in one of the parks, so we're familiar with it. We're very excited about it. Thank you.
Sure. We almost left you out, but we got you. All right, here we go. Municipal Court Judge. No such luck. Here we go.
Do you support the public shaming of the municipal court's I Am a Thief program, where people walk the sidewalk with a sign? Why or why not?
That's a good question.
I don't do that. I don't use that as a tool in my repertoire. Judge Eddy instituted that, and she does it, and she, I think, has explained that in several media interviews before. It's frustrating to us sometimes as judges, I suppose. As I mentioned, we have thousands of cases that we handle every year. The court's about 15,000, 16,000 cases, I think. Lots of people come before us, don't do what they're asked to do. And then we have to figure out what to do with them next. And so we try things to get them to comply with what we think they should have done to start with. And I think this is a program Judge Eddy thinks will benefit those people and get them to do what they're supposed to. I don't use it. I prefer other means, jail or community service work, or just bringing them back to court all the time. So I'm personally not going to do that, and But like I say, Judge Eddy does, and that's her program.
Thank you for that answer. Guess what? We have something for the First Ward. Are you ready? Oh, I'm sorry. It says First Ward. All council candidates. Okay, all council candidates. But can we start with you, Greg, and go Beth and go that way very quickly? Here we go.
Quickly, 1 minute?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I mean, okay.
Yes, please and thank you.
I didn't know if we were speeding up 30 seconds, 15.
For you, a minute and one.
Thank you.
In what ways can you, as a member of City Council, support the development of downtown?
A minute and one probably isn't sufficient to delve into all of that, but obviously, anytime you develop, that brings growth. Growth is good, but growth creates stress, and stress creates issues. And so effective communication between the business owners of downtown, making sure that people who are coming to downtown are, and I keep harping on communication, but it is a huge issue with City Council and effectively bringing that into the 21st century. And so really, in the last 20 seconds that I have, you've got to know what the issue is specifically to really efficiently address that, but it's communicating. It's continually talking to people and what the issues are, and then working with people to solve those.
Okay. You want the question again?
Could you repeat the question, please?
In what ways can you, as a member of the City Council, support the development of downtown?
On council, I'm the chair of the Development Committee, and recently we've done a couple things. We have worked with the people that have the building where the Children's Museum is and the ones that are developing 50 West Brewery to get them tax rebates so that they're paying less taxes on the development. And that is key to bringing in investors that are spending it costs a lot to develop one of our old buildings. So any help that we can give people just attracts more developers, helps them keep those buildings in shape. And I had one other thing in mind, and now I can't think of it. I'll think of it as soon as I pass the microphone.
Of course. Take it back now.
So I want to go pretty much right back to where I started, which was to talk about what I believe makes good policy, and that is that it is sustainable, enforceable, and it's transparent and communicable. Looking at sustainable, that would be like Beth talked about, trying to get tax rebates for people to develop our old buildings since it is so expensive, and make sure that we can keep that growth going for the next 10 years instead of, kind of stymie it. We need to make sure our policies are enforceable. We make plenty of policies about where and when you can park, and if we don't enforce them, then they might as well not be policies. And then finally, we need to make sure that we're being transparent and that our lines of communication are open with business owners and the public downtown.
Okay, thank you.
Can I have my 30 seconds?
Yes, you can. 30 seconds. Put her on the clock.
Okay. One other thing that we have done to try, and old buildings are the key to downtown Chillicothe. We have beautiful old buildings, but it is hard, it's expensive to develop them. And when we had Heritage Ohio come in, they said that there are dual building codes. So right now we are assessing that, trying to get that to be something that our building inspectors work with and are aware of, and our engineering departments can work with building owners so that they don't have to put elevators in a building, that they don't have to have a hallway that's 40 feet wide in an old building. So those dual building codes, I think, are going to make it much easier and cheaper to develop our downtown.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I knew there was one other thing.
I agree with you, Beth. That's what I was just going to touch on. I think it's really imperative that we keep our old buildings intact before they get run down and dilapidated. I think we need to revisit all that to keep up maintenance and and revisit those codes to make them more friendly to businesses coming into town.
Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Fairchild.
I know that we've all worked on developing downtown for years, decades even, and we've been talking about it. And I think as city council people, what we can do is support legislation that makes sense. You know, 2A Second Street's been thrown out there for a while, and it makes sense. It makes sense for the business owners. It makes sense for the development. It makes sense. So, you know, we need to come to the table and be like, let's make this happen for the next step of our downtown. One of the other things through the two major studies anyway that's been done on downtown, because we have such a beautiful downtown that we need to keep and we need to preserve. Overlay districts is a big thing that's come up several times, which is have an entertainment district, have a dining district, have which goes straight to planning. Encourage administration to hire a planner. We need a planner. We need to make sure that we are developing the parts of the downtown that have access with good streets and good parking, and that's where our growth is going to be. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tack?
Being the engineering committee chair and being also on design and review board, I keep in touch with the people downtown. So I think that the council actually does a good job of working with the people downtown for developing and helping them out. I know the latest brewery was mentioned, and yes, I was all for that. I mean, it's an old bank building, and there's going to be something in it. The Carlisle building happened before my time, but I'm sure glad that that is fixed up. So we're definitely 30 seconds. Really? Thank you.
As a downtown business owner, when I opened my shop in 2013, I had a trouble with figuring out what all codes I needed, where I needed to go, and calling, and I had to figure out what exactly I needed. And it was very difficult for me in the beginning to figure out what exactly I needed. Since then, I think I've been an advocate involved in subcommittees of really streamlining that. And I think that our city council and city administration has done a really good job of working with not only the chamber, but the other new downtown business groups that have opened up to really partner with them. And it takes a village. We all have to, I think, work together on that. So it's been really exciting to see all the retail growing. I'd like to see helping businesses build up their second stories, whether it's with offices or apartments, but getting people living downtown, I think is really the next step. But again, as a downtown business owner, it's been real exciting to see the progress that has been made in regards to streamlining all of that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, this is for council at large.
Is that the one?
And let's start with Devin again.
If somebody wrote the question, we've finally decided, yes, we will.
Okay.
And it's been put through our screeners, and so council at large, here we go. Let's start with who?
Devin, we went the other way twice.
Devin.
Okay. The Equal Rights Amendment has not completed the ratification process nationally. Will you use your position to push through this vital amendment?
How can I push through a national amendment as a council member? That's my question.
That was my question too, yeah. That was why I was, do we want to ask that?
Well, we asked you anyway.
Okay, that was my answer.
That was your answer. Do you have one, Dustin?
I would, of course, that's something I've always supported. If there was a way that I could influence that from my position as on council, I'd be glad to do that. Devin's right, we don't have a lot of say in that, but sometimes just lending our voice to it could maybe make a difference.
I'm sorry,
At least,
yes.
exciting people locally to take action.
All right, well, that's good. I think we're going to clarify with our resident professional. She is a national person on the ERA, and here we go. The question is?
Oh, we would like to know if you would use your position on council to do something like pass a resolution in support of the National Equal Rights Amendment.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Sure.
Yeah, I would definitely be in support of that.
I support equal rights, but I'd like to comment on the previous question on the downtown. I think the current administration and the current council has done a wonderful job. I mean, seeing is believing. Anybody who's lived here in the last 10 years, go downtown. Go downtown of an evening or on your way home from work at 5 o'clock. It's incredible, the turnaround. Maybe one thing we could do to help would be to focus on the entryways to town. Like when you come in off High Street, wouldn't it be nice if we could work with the state and get that clover leaf, fancied up a little bit, something impressive instead of just the clover leaf that's there, and extend our flood walls on each side, the decorations around that. Maybe coming in on south of town. I know you got the paper mill and that makes it tough, but could we clean up the sides of the road there and maybe do some kind of little decoration there to help? What about coming in on Main Street, the abandoned railroad property? Can't we work with the railroad? I know it's been an issue when it's a nuisance. We can't enforce anything, but can't we reach out and try to work with the railroad? Doze that off, level that area off, and that's allowing homeless people and drug addicts and dirt and filth, and it's just not sightly. And the overpass itself. So if you could doze off and level off that railroad property and clean both sides of that overpass. There's a jungle on both sides of that overpass and under the overpass. And Luke, we'll talk later.
Thank you, Joe. You have the last word.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I would support a resolution. And to also just piggyback with Joe about our downtown, one of the things that we are doing on council is we did have a facilities plan that was given to council, a study, and we are currently, as those of you that know, looking to, purchase the Pepsi building and move some of our services in there. So therefore, taking care of some of our nuisance properties so we could be the leader, cleaning up our situation on Riverside, maybe over on Park Street. So we're really thrilled with what we're able to do, and we're really thrilled to be able to purchase this Pepsi building and move forward and clean up the entrance into the park and around. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to add to the downtown discussion.
Please. Yeah, you do.
With regard to, I'm a big proponent of redevelopment of properties, and she mentioned the facilities plan. The city owns a lot of property on Riverside and that whole district there. I envision a whole new district that connects to downtown, an extension of downtown, for example, using overlay districts that Lana mentioned before. So it's a whole new world, a whole new realm of development that we could explore there. And the city owns the key. The city holds the key to development there. And so I say, get it out of the hands of that property, get all those properties out of the hands of the city, put it in CIC or whatever mechanism we use, and let's promote that. But we got to create a plan, a development district, a new district with a plan, with overlay zones, etc. A new entertainment district, for example. So there.
Thank you. Well, you had the last word. Actually, we as the League of Women Voters would like to thank you so very much for giving time and good information to all of the citizens of Chillicothe. This applause is for you. Thank you very much. In closing, we want to make sure that you visit LWVChillicothe.org. Did you get that on camera? All right, thank you. And this will be able to profile all of you as candidates, and we also will be promoting the league to join it, and refreshments are in the back. See you there. Thank you.